Hello! Hi, it's Sat Chat time. Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. It's been a crazy week. I don't know how crazy it's been, but I can't believe it's Friday. It's Friday afternoon. I'm recording this at 2:14. And I've had actually a really nice week. I've done a lot of just kind of puttering around and basically playing with different supplies and just kind of organizing drawers and just, you know, that little puttery stuff that it's really fun to do. I don't know, I find it fun. I find organizing and stuff like that fun. And I don't know, just kind of like baseline resets everything. And today actually, I finally decided to put together my large gouache palette, which is the big Meeden one, and this is just a little color thing for it. The only colors I'm putting in here are the Da Vinci and Daniel Smith for the most part, and the Holbein mixing colors, just because I really love that set. But I don't want to put out a bunch of paint because I generally want to use my gouache fresh from this tube, but if I have kind of like a starter mother palette going, then I can top off areas, or if I want to try a different color, I can put it in there. But those colors, Daniel Smith and Da Vinci, pan really well and re-wet really well. I have a little palette I made of Da Vinci gouache that I keep in my palette. I've got a tiny little spray bottle in there. This is made from like something I picked up on the side of the road, honestly. But it's great for when I'm painting out and I want to have a little bit of gouache to go with my watercolor, and it re-wets great. And it doesn't crack and fall out. It's just wonderful. So I want to use my gouache more. I want to use my professional gouache more. Having that ready to go is I think going to facilitate that a lot more, and that's what I got that palette for. That's what I wanted to use it for. I did film a video on the whole the filling the palette, the making the chart, all of that. So that'll come up at some point. It'll be a studio sesh, just kind of one of those videos to put on in the background while you're doing your thing. I love to have stuff like that on, and I think that's kind of what is what's doing well right now in the space, because I'm finding that like I'll put a video on of somebody cleaning their craft room, or kind of showing you through their drawers, like doing a little studio tour or something to fall asleep to, or to have it on while I'm working on something else. And I find it very comforting, just kind of like having company in the room. And I think that sort of ambient content is actually, I think it's kind of nice. I think it's what people also get from watching haul videos and unboxings, that like having something on without feeling that pressure to create or to produce or to learn something, kind of like Sat Chat. There's no pressure to learn anything. You're not going to learn anything here. We're going to just like shoot the breeze for half an hour. And I think that's why Sat Chat's done pretty well. It's that ambient type of like no expectation required content that tends to do really well on YouTube, I think. And I think it's a little bit better than a haul video, because it's hopefully inspiring people to get out the stuff they have and use it too. And especially studio sesh videos, because I'm usually like cleaning something, or trying to find a new way to use something I've already had, or get out something I haven't used in a long time. I haven't done a studio session in a while, so that'll be up at some point. I don't know when. But what actually made me do that I've been meaning to do since I got the palette last fall, was that I wanted to do a review of all of the professional grade gouache I got. So you probably remember, it was probably one of the last hauls I did. It was after like Black Friday. I had picked up, there were a few sets of gouache that I wanted to review. Generally, when you're doing art reviews, the stuff that you get sent to you to review are usually from kind of like newer companies. I don't want to say no-name companies, but companies that aren't very established. Your more legacy companies, they don't tend to offer the products out so much for a review, which is fine. I'm totally fine with buying the products that I want to review. And so I picked up Da Vinci gouache. I picked up some Da Vinci watercolors, which I'd already reviewed Da Vinci in the past, but not their gouache. So I bought some of their gouache. I bought some Daniel Smith gouache. I bought some Shinhan gouache, some Holbein gouache. And of course, not all of that during Black Friday. I'd been kind of amassing the gouache paint since last summer, because I wanted to there were a few brands that I wanted to try and I wanted to compare. And I also wanted to be able to use them for a while before I did the kind of like final wrap up. And it did take me a while to get through reviewing all of them. Did I post the Turner? I've recorded the Turner gouache review. I don't think I've posted that yet. So that will come out first. The Turner gouache review will be first. And then I wanted to do a video where I'm kind of ranking all of the gouache that I've reviewed. And I don't even necessarily think that I ranked it. So that was the scope of that video, was ranking all my professional grade gouache. And as I got it out, it's like, you know, once you get into the professional range, and I think this with watercolor as well, probably with any sort of professional grade paint, is that, oh, now my head's cut off. There we go. It's probably changed nothing. I need to sit up straight. The thing when you're in any sort of professional range of products from reputable companies, the differences between them in quality are going to be negligible. The differences between them are going to be more like what is local to you and easy to find and affordable, what works with your style of painting more. And that's pretty much it. Because once you get into the professional range from legacy companies, they're going to be pretty comparable. Like there may be a finish that you prefer in one brand over another. There may be an opacity you prefer over one brand and another. There may be just the way you particularly like to work. And that's what I really discovered with all those gouache, all those different brands, is that the quality is good, but it really breaks down to how you like to use it. And a swatch doesn't really tell everything. If I was just comparing swatches of all those brands, Da Vinci would just be like thumbs down, bottom of the barrel. But when I compare like how I like to use it, how I use it in my work, which is almost like a traditional watercolorist that's kind of branching out to branches out into mixed media. Because I would say if there's one media that would be my main media, it would be watercolor, but then I branch out to a bunch of different medias. Going from that, Da Vinci actually is one of the ones I enjoy using the most because it is kind of almost like a hybrid. But if I was just comparing swatches, I'd be like, oh, this isn't even, this isn't it. This isn't, this isn't good. But actually in working, it is nice to use. So it really depends on what you like to work. If you were somebody that wants to that's doing illustration that needs to be able to put down flat fields of color, Turner was great. Turner was my favorite in that sort of type of use. So anyway, that video will be coming out in a few weeks, and then I'll do the final, like putting the big gouache palette together. I only put light fast colors in the big gouache palette. I only put colors that panned well. Yeah, and I was mainly what I wanted to do when I did the big gouache comparison was that I wanted to buy the smaller mixing sets of these different brands. And when I got the Da Vinci, they didn't have the mixing set at Blick where I was buying it. I wasn't planning on placing an order right directly with Da Vinci. I did later on, but I bought watercolors because they tempted me with a sweet deal and free gift with purchase. But I already had the gouache that I was gonna do, and I didn't get their mixing set because I already I picked the colors that I wanted to have. Really not the best, probably not the best, most comprehensive review, but I would say watch Sarah Burns if you want a really comprehensive gouache review. Anyway, I'm just doing my thing. And I don't really see buying another line of gouache. I didn't review Schminke because they're kind of expensive and a little more difficult to find here. And I don't really love their watercolors, so I don't want to be intentionally biased at the get-go. And I didn't buy My Mary, and I didn't buy Talons because I don't even know where you get Talons. Maybe Blick has it, but is it Talons? They have a gouache, right? Maybe I'm thinking. I know there was, but you know what? There's lots of reviews out there. So I'm really happy to have gotten through all that gouache reviewed. Now I can feel like I can really mix them together and play, because that's really how I like to work. I like to mix different products together, especially with gouache where I don't have a huge line in any color. I don't have a huge range of colors in any brand. I'd like to just mix them together. So yay. And I was just kind of playing around with mixing the leftover paint on the mixing area. That was fun. And then I was messing around in some sketchbooks and just kind of painting out on some pages. By the way, this is coming up next week. I was just playing around. That's what I'm trying to do also, just play more in my sketchbooks, because this one was one I wasn't crazy about. I'm starting to like this sketchbook now after doing that one. Then with mixing stuff on the leftover paint on the gouache palette, I was just kind of filling a page. And it's I think I need to do more of that sort of stuff and have messed up pages ready to go. So when I'm feeling not very inspired or I'm just starting the day, I can have something to just kind of screw around on, and that's not important. And I have topics that I haven't even delved into here. I did want to let you know that in the next week or two, I should be next week or two, within the next 2 weeks, I would think, maybe 3 weeks, I will be launching the signups for the Italy retreat. That's going to be in October, the end of October 2025. So I just want to put that bug in your ear in case you were thinking about it. The way that I'll release it is I will send out an email newsletter. So if you look in the video description, you'll see a link to my email newsletter. Just sign up. It's free. It's this Lindsay Weirich. I think it's Substack / Lindsay Weirich or something like that, but it's in the video description, and that's like my monthly newsletter. So I will let newsletter recipients know first, and then I'll announce it on Snapchat. Then I'll blog it. I'll go through all the social media. But if you want to make sure that you get, say, a single room, if that's like what you need, there's going to be 6 single rooms, so that's nice. Out of the, I think there's 16 spaces, so there are more single rooms than we had in France. France sold out quick. It sold out in 3 days. And then because after you sign up, like a month or 2 later, they'll, maybe it wasn't even that long, I don't know, but a while after everyone signed up, you can sign up for the waiting list. And I would say if you don't get the room you want, you don't get a spot, then go on the waiting list, because then they'll call you if somebody drops out, because it's usually like a month or so later they'll call people and say, okay, we've sold, or after they've sold out, they'll call everyone and say, okay, this sold out, we're going to charge your card in 48 hours. So then people can either notify their card company is going to be a big charge, or they can be like, oh, wait a minute, I totally forgot I have a wedding that weekend, or my spouse has gotten sick, I'm not going to be able to go, or whatever. You have that chance to back out. So people always do back out. Every single retreat Uptruck's ever done, they say people have backed out at that point. So that's why you want to sign up for the waiting list if you don't get a spot. So just FYI, that's coming up. Just to kind of put that idea in your mind, if it's something you want to think about planning for, saving for, maybe with the holidays coming up, asking people for a contribution to it or something like that in lieu of gifts, or I don't know. I tend not to ask for gifts, but I know a lot of people do. Anyway, that's coming up. Feels so gross to like self-promote, even though I do it a lot. So thank you everyone for the book recommendations. I checked a couple out physical books from my library. I checked out a few ebooks, which I probably shouldn't have, because there's no way. Fantasy Lindsay thinks she's going to be reading all these books. Reality Lindsay hasn't started one yet since last weekend asking for all the recs, but several people recommended the book Girl on the Train, so I got that one from my local library in a hardcover. I prefer to read on hardcover, but honestly I do a lot of reading on my phone just because it's convenient to check things out from the download library. And I also checked out the book Yellowface, which looks really good. And then there were some thrillers. There were so many good recommendations. I'm going to have to come back to that video a lot, just to like, when I finish books, to get more recommendations. And hopefully, maybe if I'm on the ball, I'll read these all and I'll be able to say, yes, I liked it, or I didn't like that. I probably wouldn't say it if I didn't like it, but thank you anyway for the book recommendations, because first of all, the funny thing was a lot of books got recommended to me that I'd already read, and so that was kind of neat. So that just makes me feel like, okay, people know what I like because they're recommending things I've already read. And so there was one book that got recommended a lot that I actually didn't like very much. It was actually a do not finish for me, and it was Lessons in Chemistry. That was a book club book. And I started to read it and I'm like, I did not like it. It just seems so predictable. It's like I guessed what was going to happen next every single turn. And I'm like, I couldn't finish it. I did watch the Apple Plus, it was Apple or HBO, one of those services did a show of it, and I did watch it and it was all right. I don't know. To me, that was maybe a little overhyped. Maybe I was expecting it to be too much, but I was just like, oh, come on. It just felt very cliche and very predictable to me, but I don't want to yuck anyone else's yum. You might like it, so I won't give any spoilers, but anyway, it wasn't my cup of tea. But it was funny that many of you recommended that book. I also did another studio sesh video. Well, I was going to do it anyway because I was kind of like Monday. I was like, still kind of in a little bit of a funk. Okay, well, I had all this printmaking stuff out because I had kind of a printmaking play date last Friday afternoon, and it was so much fun, but I noticed things did not go back in my printmaking toolbox in the same way they came out because I couldn't close it. It's like, all right, it's time to go through this and weed out some stuff and make it a little bit more usable. So what I ended up doing, and spoiler alert if you're going to watch that video, I took everything out. I got rid of some stuff that was a little kind of juvenile, like some foam stamps that were just a little juvenile. I'm like, I'm never going to use these. So I have a donation box going in the other room, and eventually I'll take it to Goodwill. some crafty person will get hopefully they'll keep it all together, some crafty person will get one heck of a treat. And I cut down some cardboard boxes so I had trays that I could lift out of the big printmaking box. So it's like a 12 by 12 cube. It's kind of like one of these things, but it's like one of those snap together cardboard boxes. Anyway, and it has a lid on it, which is great because it keeps the dust out. Anyway, I cut down a bunch of boxes so I could just lift them out as trays, and I left I made a gully on the side so I could put things like texture sheets, things that maybe like paint cardstock I've embossed that I use as texture things, texture plates for clay, all that stuff. I just chucked that in the side. So everything is really easy to get to. Everything can be pulled out and set on the table, and then everything will go right back in, easy as pie. At least that's the theory. I think it will work. And that was a lovely couple of hours well spent. And I just enjoy it. I don't know why I enjoy organizing. Sometimes I'll be going through stuff and just like puttering around and I'm like, what a waste of time. I should be doing something more productive. But then I stopped myself and I said, you know, you're really enjoying this. Because as I'm saying that, I'm just kind of smiling like, oh, look at this thing, look at that thing, you know, and I'm like, I'm enjoying these things I already have. This is so much better than browsing online or you know, buying stuff to review in the future. This is fun. This is now, I have this. It's not contributing to more chaos. I'm actually decreasing the chaos in my area, in my craft area, my art area. And I am creating some content with it so other people can maybe get some ideas on how to improve their space or maybe get some ideas of things they can use for their gel printing. I don't know. So I was like, you know, just it's okay to just to enjoy something even if it is not profitable. It's okay to enjoy something even if it doesn't turn into like a video you can share on YouTube. It's okay to enjoy something even if it's during your work hours and it might not directly contribute to something productive, because it will. It's kind of like, you know, when like you talk to kids that are in school, they're like, when am I ever going to use this? You know? And granted, there's a lot of things that you may never use in life that you do, that you learn, but somebody in that class is going to use it. Somebody in that class is going to use that thing they learn in science class for their career. It's going to spark something, and you don't know where those little magical inspirations are going to spark from. You don't know where you're going to find the muse, but you're not going to find the muse sitting on the couch scrolling through Facebook. You know, you'll find the muse digging through your stuff and finding stuff that you forgot about. In fact, I was using stuff there. I was using stamps. I was stamping. I stamped on this art journal page, nature journal page. I started off with a photograph I took on my walk of some thistle, and using some new to me products, some art bars, Derwent art bars. They're discontinued, they're long gone, but they're great. You know, so just kind of playing, and then I dragged out my stamps and started stamping on there because I realized this paper that I wasn't crazy about is so smooth. It is great for stamping, even on top of layers of stuff. So I was like, well, that was great. Now I'm getting some stamps out, which is great because it justifies keeping stamps for decades and decades. I mean, that field note stamps is from Tattered Angels. Do you remember Tattered Angels? Crafty Secrets? Was it Crafty Secrets? Did they own Tattered Angels? No, I think it was Tattered Angels. Well, Tattered Angels was their own thing, and they own Glitter Mist. Glimmer Mist? I don't know if they're still in business. I don't think they are. But they had some really great big stamp sets, and there was like some distressed squirrels and damasks and butterflies and dragonflies, and I think I got all their stamps. They didn't do very many sets, but they're great. And, you know, I got them out, I used them. So the only bummer is going to be that you're not going to find exactly the stamps that I used, but you can find something similar. You know, definitely can find something similar, either in your stash or on Amazon or on, you know, they're pretty generic scripts and things like that. Or, I mean, I use some of my Craft Stash stamps on there for textures and whatnot. So you definitely can use what you have or find some stuff. I was really bummed that the little postmark stamp there, I have these little botanical postmarks, and I bought them on Amazon like, I don't know, a few years ago. And they're so beautiful, and they're just a perfect little accent on a card or something, or on a field journal type page. But you can't get them. It's like, as soon as I bought them, they just disappeared. And I was like, these are so pretty. I've never seen anything like them. There's little wood-mounted round postmark stamps. Maybe they had to get rid of them because they're actual postmarks, and then like some postal service got in trouble. I don't know. They're so cute though. I just wish they could be found somewhere. Maybe I'll do some more digging. I don't know where. I searched for little botanical postmark stamps, and I don't know, they're awfully cute, and they're on their own little mounts, which I absolutely love. So that was kind of fun to do that page. So yeah, a lot of farting around this week, but good farting around, good, like just stoking the fire. That's what it is. You're stoking the embers. you've got all these, it's like you are a fireplace, you are a campfire, and you know, the creativity is not roaring, the productivity is not roaring, you're not pumping out a bunch of heat, you're just kind of like, you're going fallow, you're just kind of, nothing much is happening. So you got to kind of stoke those embers, get those embers sparked again, get them to light something, right? But you have to go find the kindling in order to get it to light. You've got to go find those little wisps of dry brush that's going to catch on fire. That might be a stamp, that might be a paper, that might be a pen, and it will catch. You'll find things that will catch, and then before you know it, you have a roaring fire and you're able to create an artwork. So think about that, and also think about, it's a lot easier to keep a fire going than it is to start it from nothing. So ways to keep the fire going is like taking your like when I was setting up that palette, I had all of these, I think it's in here, I had these like I had to move a color because I had put it in the wrong place, and so I had this yellow and like left, and I need to clean out of the wall, so I just kind of like spreading it around in here, and then I had another color that I had on something I want to scrape around. So this is nothing right now, but then I can work on top of that and create something else, and that is how you can keep the, you know, you can set yourself up another time. Like when I see that messy page, I'll do some doodling on it and it will get me in the groove for the day. And just that kind of like a little bit of starting your day with a little bit of play, not leaving with everything done. I think it was Ernest Hemingway that said, don't leave with everything done, because it's going to be harder to start the next day. Leave with something half finished, or leave with something started, so that when you come back into the studio, you have a natural progression, a natural place to go. Sometimes I leave a mess because I know when I come down here, I'll have to clean it, and that will get the creative juices flowing as I put things away. So I'll put a pen away, like, oh yeah, I meant to use that pen, or I'll leave a few things out that I've been meaning to play with, so that when I come down to the studio for the day, unless like I know that I'm going to be filming a course, or I've got something where I've got everything planned out and I know what I'm going to do when I come in here and I want a fresh slate, leaving something out half done is really helpful for me, because it's kind of, it's like you've parked on a hill. All you got to do is take that park and brake off and you're going to be rolling. And that's how I feel about the like leaving a mess, leaving something, like making a little less friction when you come into the craft room, the art studio. You're walking in progress. Basically, you're walking into a situation in progress. You know, I remember that, like when like the news would like preempt shows, and then like it would say, cheers, already in progress, or something like that, you know, and you'd kind of like you dropped right into the middle of it. So you need to drop yourself right into the middle of the chaos, I guess, or into the project, so that you can go on from there. Update. I said that Stampendous had gone out of business. Actually, Spellbinders bought Stampendous, and several of you folks told me that, so I did want to set the record straight. If you are looking for Stampendous products, you can find them at Spellbinders. I'll try to remember to add a link. But on a sad note, Technique Junkies is also announced that they are closing at the end of the year. They're having difficulty finding rubber suppliers, so they're going to do 4 more stamp shows. So if you are in their vicinity where they're doing stamp shows, if you look at their Facebook page, they have a list of the 4 stamp shows they have left to do this year. And then they're not restocking, so if there's anything, once their supply runs out, it's out. So if there's something you want, don't wait, get it now, because they're not going to be restocking, and then when it's gone, it's gone, and then they're closing at the end of the year. So I did want to mention that, didn't want to bring you down, but just to let you know, they're retiring though, so I don't think it's all sad. I think it's probably, they work hard, Pat works really hard, so I mean, she's probably ready to take a break. And I mean, sometimes it's hard to close something, even if it's starting to decline in popularity, or even if the business hasn't been like roaring like it was once, or even if you're kind of tired of doing it and you want to do something else. It's hard to put an end to something that you have spent so much time on. That would be like me closing my YouTube channel, even though those videos would still be there. It would be sad. It would be hard to stop something like that, because even if it's like declining and not as popular as it used to be, you're not making the money that it used to be, it would still be sad. Sometimes you need kind of like you would need that sort of like, you know, thing that's just too hard to overcome. Like, okay, I can't get the supplies now. I really, really can't do this anymore. And I think that's probably where a lot of these companies are be like, you know what? How about we just retire, because I can't do the thing I want to do to the level I want to do it. I've been meaning to step back, take a break. I've just been waiting for a sign, and there's the sign. So I am hoping that is a situation with a lot of these companies. They're taking it as a new opening, a new path to go down joyously. And yeah, so I'll wish them the best, and yeah, check it out. I have a lot of Technique Junkie stuff. Actually, a lot of like collage-y style things I should definitely get out and play with more. I have so much stuff. But it's all good stuff. It's all fun stuff. And that's why I think it's so good to do those puttering around. Like, I took all of my art reference books out of the room of hoard, and I brought them in here and put them on a shelf that was just like a catch-all shelf, just holding random junk that's needing to be done, had something done with. And I had some stuff that I was planning on doing reviews of, which I probably still will, but I'm like, they're just sitting there. I'm like, I'm clutter blind to them at this moment. So I put all my reference books in here, which makes sense because this is where I do most of my work. In the winter, this is where I do all my work because it's the only heated space. So I love to have my reference books handy. Like if I need a photo of a bird or a flower or whatever, and I don't want to get sucked into the rabbit hole of the internet, which is what happens when I turn on the computer sometimes, no art happens. And the other thing I've been finding is that like I haven't opened my computer down here. I set my phone away, and I was just playing with paint and playing with wash and doing all that stuff. That was just all playing. I was actually gathering trash because it was the night before trash day, and I thought, oh, stamping! I could add stamping to that because it was just a sketch in there that I wasn't even going to show. I had filmed it. I'm like, it's not good. I'm not going to show it. But then I had the idea of stamping, so I had to come down here to gather my studio trash anyway, and then I'm like, while I'm at it, and I grabbed the stamps, and I'm like, I'll just leave them on the table. I'm like, no, I gotta try it. So I started stamping, and then I stamped something upside down, like, okay, give it a break. And then the next morning I came down and I like finished it up, like, I love it. First I was like, I ruined it. Then it's like, I love it. You know, sometimes when you mess something up, it gives you the freedom just to do whatever you want to that page. So it's all good. It's very good. Tomorrow, which will actually be today when you're watching this because it's Saturday, I'm getting together with 3 other friends, and we're going to go paint in this area called Hobbit Forest. I don't think that's its real name, and I probably shouldn't say its real name because, you know, my 3 other friends also have YouTube channels, and they might not want random, you know, people coming out and joining us. I don't know. But I'll tell you all about that next week. I'm really looking forward to that because it's going to be 80. We're going to paint all morning in the Hobbit Woods, and we're going to go to lunch, and we're going to paint by the river for a couple hours. So it ought to be a lot of fun, and it'll be fun girl painty time. And yeah, that's good. Get together with creative people. Get together with people who share your hobbies. It can be difficult. Sometimes you don't know people that share your hobbies, so you got to train the people you know. You got to teach people your hobby. Sometimes that's how it goes. I went to had an awesome time last Sunday. I met up with my college friends, and we went out to lunch, and we were talking about hobby. And by the way, I did not have a cocktail. I didn't have a drink. I still haven't had a drink since I found out that alcohol is a carcinogen, and it did not hamper the lunch at all. I was kind of worried that's like, oh, am I gonna find these people as interesting if I'm not having a drink, or are they gonna find me as interesting? And it was fine. Everything was great. I thought they might tease me, which I would totally expect, but I always come charged with some sort of health kick that I'm on, so they're used to it by now. But it was a great time, and it's just been a great week, and I hope you're having a great week too. I'm just about out of time, so happy crafting. Until next time, see ya. Bye.